This is the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where it's all about getting the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Brought to you by Itamar, founder and CEO of Umbrella, the technology platform and brand that is powering thousands of marketing agencies around the country. Find him at umbrellaus.com. And now, here's your host, Itamar Shafir.
Welcome to the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where we talk with successful marketing experts about a way to build and grow your digital marketing agency. My guest today is the founder and host of the award-winning Entrepreneurs on Fire podcast. He interviewed over 3,000 of the world's most successful entrepreneurs and amassed over 100 million listeners, 145 countries. Amazing stats. He's also an acclaimed writer. We'll talk about his book in this show, and an ex-Army platoon leader. I'm excited to say hello to Mr. John Lee Dumas. Hey, John.
Itamar, it is awesome to be here, brother. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to dropping some value bombs.
I'm sure you will. But before we jump into this, and you have so much experience and went through so many steps, but I would love if you can encapsulate in 1 minute a little bit for the listeners. How did you get from starting a podcast to 100 million listeners? You must be an awesome marketer.
What I did was I identified a need in the market that was not being served. People try to complicate things, Itamar. They really try to complicate things. But at the end of the day, it's very simple. If you can become the best solution to a real problem in this world, you're going to win. If you're the best solution to a real problem, you will win, because people will beat a path to the doorstep of the number one solution to their problem. And they will ignore the second best solution all the way through to infinity. So are you willing to be the best solution to a real problem? And guess what? Back in 2012, I identified a need in the marketplace. There were 7 business podcasts that were interviewing entrepreneurs. They were all once a week. I loved them. They were great shows. But I realized my biggest complaint about those shows was they were once a week, and I had to wait 6 days for the next episode. Where was the daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs? I launched the first daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs on fire. And day one was the best daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs.
Wow.
I was the worst daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. I was the only daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. So I hope you see how that works there.
Yeah.
And when you're the number one solution to a real problem, which there was a real problem that I was solving, I was the only show in town. And I built momentum, I built traction, I built buzz. And I, of course, added some marketing pizzazz to that. And here we are, 100 million listens later, over 1.2 million listens every single month. And life is good.
Wow, that's wonderful. So taking up on that, a lot of our listeners are small marketing agencies, and they might be thinking to themselves, look, I do SEO. This guy's doing SEO. I do Facebook advertising. This guy's doing Facebook advertising. I do it better, but I don't know if it's different. What's the first step? You've also written a lot of books about, taking your business to the next level. Do you have some sort of framework or a tip to help people to kind of identify that uniqueness and expose it to their audience?
Better than a tip, I have a 17-step roadmap. And that 17-step roadmap is in my first traditionally published book, The Common Path to Uncommon Success. And it is a step-by-step process. And you brought up a very good point. Somebody does Facebook ad marketing. Yeah, guess what? You're maybe better than 90, maybe even 99% of people that are out there. Maybe. But guess what? You have nothing that's differentiating you. So how does me, somebody who has no Facebook ad marketing experience, how do I know that you're better than somebody else? You can tell me you are, but that other person who's 10 times worse than you is also going to tell me they're better than you.
Yeah.
There's nothing special about your service. There's nothing unique that I've at least heard thus far in your marketing. So what is it that you do better than anybody else? What is the number one solution to a real problem that you offer that nobody else does? And until you figure that out, you are going to drown in a sea of saturated competition.
And can that be also something small, like something about me and not so much the service? Something that is outside the service itself? like the talent?
It can be, but I wouldn't say it could be small. It's got to be big. Like it's got to be a big differentiator. It's got to be something that's really a clear understanding that makes you special, that makes you unique, that makes you different, that makes you best in show at this one specific problem that your potential client wants and needs the solution to. Like there's a reason why people like Lewis Howes, Tim Ferriss, so many other very huge successful entrepreneurs came to me when they first wanted to launch their podcast, because I was looked at as the podcast guy, as the guy that knew best how to build a successful podcast. And how can you become known for whatever it is in your niche that is going to have you stand out and stand apart?
Oh, and I can find the roadmap for that in your new book, right?
Exactly.
Again, what's the name of the book again? Can I find it on Amazon?
The Common Path to Uncommon Success. And yes, it's on Amazon.
Guys, go buy it. John knows what he's talking about. And okay, so another scenario for you. Let's say, I know you wrote the book about 100 days framework, and I'm an agency. I want more clients. That's my thinking right now. I tried a few things. It's working, but it's, I can't seem to scale. Do you have any, additional steps for me? Like the first step I should take to kind of look at how I should change my positioning, or what I should do to start growing and not stagnate with the same type of, of client getting strategy that I have today?
No, I have no idea. And that's part of the book, because why would I know how to grow an agency? Why would I know how you can build and scale? I've never done that, and I never will. I have no desire to. I know how to build and scale what I'm doing: creating a podcast, growing a podcast, monetizing a podcast, building an audience, building a brand, doing the things that I do. And so people come to me for my area of expertise. But within the book, The Common Path to Uncommon Success, I do give you the framework. And step 5 of the 17-step roadmap is find the right mentor. And that's the specific answer for you. You need to find somebody who has currently done what you're talking about, or who is currently doing what you're talking about.
This podcast is brought to you by Umbrella. Have an agency? Check out umbrellaus.com to grow it today.
That you can learn from, that you can be educated by, because that person knows how to grow and succeed with exactly what you're looking to grow and succeed with. So you'll have a lot of people that will just spout off of the mouth. They'll give you these platitudes, and they'll say, yeah, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you should be building this team and this scales and these automations. But unless their area of expertise is in that exact same place that you are, it's not going to be that helpful. Like, I'm not going to let a fat person tell me how to exercise. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell, I'm not going to let a doctor who's ripping cigarette butts, tell me what's healthy and what's unhealthy to eat. Like, that's just too much of a disconnect. So I think it's so critical that you realize there's a solution to every one of your problems, and the people that have those solutions for you are those who are successful in your specific area of expertise.
That's a great answer. Thank you. And it's very specific, guys, so take it to heart. You talk about, I want to take a little bit of a tangent from agencies, because I saw that you interview entrepreneurs nonstop. And those entrepreneurs are not just in marketing or digital marketing, like most of the people that are listening, but the people that are listening are also entrepreneurs. And some of them are getting started. And I meet some of them, and sometimes when I meet them and I talk to them, I'm not sure that they came on this specific path, meaning digital marketing or building an agency, for the right passion. And sometimes I talk with people and I find out that they don't know what their real passion is. And it's a little bit of a, it's a hard question, but do you have a way to help people that want the freedom and want the independence, but it's very hard for them? Maybe they knew once, but it disappeared, and they can't find the passion, the thing they want to go after. They know they want to exit where they are, but they don't know what they should do.
It's step 1, chapter 1 of my 17-step roadmap. It's called identifying your big idea. And that person you're describing, has no idea what their big idea is. They have no idea how their passions overlap with their skills, how their enthusiasm commingles with their areas of expertise. They have no idea how to find what I call their zone of fire. And that's not uncommon. Most people are going to die in this world without ever having identified their big idea. Most people are going to die in this world having never identified their zone of fire. And it's sad, but it's true. But those people that want it are those type of people that are listening to this show right now. Go out and get it. I mean, there's a process to get there. It's called the common path to uncommon success.
Okay, awesome. Another thing that I noticed on your bio is that you spent 8 years in the Army. And I want to, it feels to me, because your first book was, correct me if I'm wrong, 100 Days Framework, right? It's a very tactical title. And do you feel that after spending 8 years in the Army, that had the effect on you to be more goal-oriented or being accomplished-oriented, meaning finishing your tasks, if you will?
So my first book project was a journal called The Freedom Journal, which is how to accomplish your number one goal in 100 days. And the thing about the military that really did help, your question and point, is the military has something called backwards planning. And backwards planning means you start at mission accomplished and you work backwards from there. And when you get to where you currently are standing in that moment of time, now you have the roadmap ahead of you. Now it's just about executing. The problem is people are like, okay, I'm standing here. Mission accomplished is way over there. I'm just going to start walking. Well, what if you're walking in the wrong direction? What if you're taking, the wrong steps? And so when I sat down to write the common path to uncommon success, I knew that there was a 17-step roadmap to get to financial freedom and fulfillment, because I started at the end, financial freedom and fulfillment. I took one step back. That's chapter 16. One step back. That's chapter 15. And so on and so forth till I got to step 1, which is where every single person starts, having to identify their big idea. Boom, there was my outline. There was my roadmap. Now it's just a matter of sitting down and writing out this book.
Amazing. So basically, every question that I'm asking has a solution in this book. I'm getting it immediately after this show. So the last thing we usually do at the end of each podcast is we have a rapid Q&A. And these questions are not edgy by any means, but if you feel uncomfortable with any of them, then just say pass, okay?
Deal.
So did you get along with your parents growing up?
Yes and no. I mean, I was a teenager, so I definitely tested my boundaries.
Do you have siblings?
One sister.
Do you have a pet?
Right now?
Right now.
Yes. And when I was growing up, yes.
How old were you when your first kid was born?
When my first child has not happened yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. I mean, I'm sorry for not checking if you have a kid. Are you planning on one? No, I'm kidding. It's not enough of those deep questions. When do you wake up?
6 a.m.
When do you go to bed?
9 p.m.
Ideal vacation?
You're looking at it. My backyard.
Are you a man of faith?
No.
Okay. Wow. That's impressive, that direct, immediate answer. And just so you know, it's a little bit uncommon. You are one of 2 people that I interviewed that answered that. And that's very interesting. I really, really appreciate all the answers and all the information you provided today. It was right to the point. I think every question that I asked had an immediate answer and can be expanded on in your new book. So I really, really appreciate your time. That was really helpful.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to adding value to your audience when they're listening or watching this. And I'll catch you on the flip side.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where we provide the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Your host has been Itamar, founder and CEO of Umbrella, the technology platform and brand that is powering thousands of marketing agencies around the country. Find him at umbrellaus.com.